Hey everyone, here I am, slightly late, but as promised. All right, so today I just wanted to showcase a couple of things. The watercolor pencils, embossing on DSP, the DSP, just a card sketch, and just remind you that even though we're all getting excited about the holiday catalog, there are fabulous stamp sets in the annual catalog, which you can be purchasing now. You don't have to wait for those. And I find that often we get so excited about the next catalog, holiday, celebration occasions, that we forget about all of the great things that we were so excited about in the annual catalog. So just wanted to showcase a few things like that. Alrighty, so let's get started. So, this card is twofold. I was part of a sketch challenge, so that's where this design comes from. But I also needed a card for a good friend who has been having a bit of a rough go. Hey, Jamie. So I combined the two to come up with this card. So we are going to make this card with a minor variation. I didn't love... I just felt like the sentiment could have been a little more prominent. So we're going to try something a little bit different when we make this card together. All right, so here we go. Just a reminder, here is the August host code currently up and running for any online orders. Alrighty? All right, off and running. So we are using very vanilla thick cardstock, which I had already cut to our standard card size of 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I also already cut the layers just so we could speed things up a little. So this DSP that I'm using is gorgeous for starters, both sides. And it is part of this bundle of Love designer series paper. So it's Blushing Bride, Soft Sky, and Very Vanilla. And on the back of every of the pattern is the same pattern in gold. So it is beautiful because it is a specialty DSP because of the gold. It's $17, I believe. I'm just double checking that for you. Yeah, $17, but you get 12 sheets and they are good quality, heavy stuff. All right, so I've already cut those. So like I said, this was 5.5 by 4 1/4. And then I have cut this next layering sheet to be 5 1/4 by 4. And then this one is half an inch smaller on all of those. So it's 5 by 3 3/4. Okay, so I've just gone in by 1/4. And so you can see I made them a little bit bigger than this card because I also wanted just a little more real estate. I didn't love how there was so much vanilla on this card. But, you know, to each his own. The other thing I have done slightly differently here is I made this piece the width of the entire pattern, whereas this one it was just a smaller bit. And I did that just because I wanted to see if I liked it or not. And I think I actually maybe like it better smaller. I will happily take votes as we carry on because I can always trim that to be smaller. All right, first things first, we are going to move into the watercoloring. So this is the shimmering white cardstock. When you want to use the blender pens or the aqua painters with your watercolor pencils, it's not ideal to do it just on the regular cardstock. If you get too much water, the cardstock will pill a little bit. So the shimmery white stops that from happening. Also, the watercolor paper stops that from happening. I don't have any aqua painters, so for me, just using the blender pens, this solves all my problems. And you can get away with it actually on cardstock. You just have to be careful how much water you add. When you are using the blender pens though, or the aqua painter, you need to be using the basic black, the archival. You can't be using a different kind of ink or it might run. So I had perfectly sized this. So I just have to I'm just gonna lay it on there so I make sure I stamp my girl in the right spot. There we go, perfect. All right, we will clean that off later. So let's color her and then we'll cut her out. So I wanted to bring a second color into this card, so I used the coral, and I wanted that to be brighter, but I didn't want it to be super bright. So I also was using the white. And so there's a couple of options when you're using the watercolor. You can color the whole thing and then just blend, or you can just color bits and blend, or it's really up to you. So what I had done is I had really put my color anywhere that we had the sort of bold lines. On the skirt, the waist, in the arms. To me, that's like a hood. It's hard to say if that's really what it is, but that's my interpretation. And I'm just gonna put a little more there because I didn't really have enough there. And then what I had done is I had put a bunch of white in here just to sort of blend it out. You don't necessarily have to. And so then you take your blender pen and essentially you go where the color is and draw that into the dress. And then you just need to, so what you can see is happening here actually is I am picking up the black, which didn't happen when I did this before. So that's unfortunate. You just have to be careful. My blender pen might have been a bit dirty too. So we can always fix that though. We can put a bit more of our watercolor pencil in there if we like, just to make sure we're happy with that. Alrighty, and really clean that off. That's all you have to do with these is just spin them around to get rid of it. So, and then up here, I don't have soft sky, so I was using Bermuda Bay, and I'm actually gonna be a little less, I'm gonna do a little gentler because I thought it was kind of bright the last time. So we're just gonna gently color that on. And I'm gonna do a bit of white again, make sure that guy's clean. And then just draw the color out. And depending how much you apply to where the color is, it's how much you will get going into your image. All right, there we go. I actually like that that is fainter. Is that a word? Fainter, more faint than before. Clean that guy off. And we are done with those. All right, so that is our woman. And I'm going to cut her out, but I'm also going to show you a trick. And I know we have talked about this trick before. So I need to make a border with this scallop. And what I am going to do, as opposed to using another piece of sky blue, I'm going to do it right out of the middle of this one, because it's going to be covered up and we're never going to know that the middle's missing. So it is a great way to save yourself some paper if you know you're just going to cover it up anyway. So I'm just going to go over to the Big Shot. Well, you know, I guess I'll bring the Big Shot to us and cut those out. Alrighty. So, yeah, I know, it is a good idea. So we'll put our lady, make sure we've got her centered in our oval. And then we'll take this guy this direction and put this in the middle. All right, and so we are saving ourselves some paper and doing double duty, which is a great way to do it. All right, roll that through. All right, So we need both pieces of this, and we need that. And we're back. All right, so look at that, fabulous. So we've got that, we've got this space, but that doesn't matter because we're gonna cover it. Okay, so we're gonna put those aside. I'm gonna snail this onto here so that we don't lose it, and I'm not like, oh my God, where did that piece go? I know I did it. Because if you've watched my videos before, you know that once in a while we lose something. Okay, so she's done. This piece we don't need yet. This piece we're going to stamp on. So, like I said, here what I had done the brighter in the Calypso Coral, and then I had done the Wishing You Days to Come in the Soft Sky, and then I had used clear embossing powder. And I like it, but for this card I want to see what it looks like if we do all of it in Calypso Coral and still the embossing powder to make it pop. And the only reason I want to do the embossing powder is because we're doing it on the DSP. So just to get that little bit of extra pop, since it's not on clear, or pardon me, a solid piece of paper. So here is my clear powder, just getting that out and ready so that while my stamp is wet, it's going to stick. And I was just looking for my embossing buddy. A quarter, thanks bud. Is that mine?
Boo, boo.
Okay, off you go. Please.
Stamp it up.
Stamp it up. Nothing like a 6-year-old to add to your video. All right, so there's my buddy. Both my embossing buddy and my little buddy. And here's my Calypso Coral. So I don't know if anyone has seen me use these before, and if you're wondering about them, these are the uninked stamping spots. So they come as a pack of 5. When you get them, they're just white. And then basically you can make them whatever color you want. So you can purchase 5 re-inkers of whatever colors you would like, and you end up with 5 little stamp pads. And the re-inkers, if you don't want to invest in $8.50, or if you want like the in colors, that's a good way to get all 5 in colors. Anyway, moving on. So we will stamp up our sentiment in the coral. Make sure we are good and stamped. We are. Cover that up so we don't end up with that everywhere. And put it down here in this corner. Oh yeah, that already is way brighter. So actually, you probably didn't need to, but let's emboss it anyway. And it's just a good tip. So you can't even tell that's on there, right? Because it's clear, but you will see. Oh yeah, I like that way, way better. All right, bring over our heat gun. Heat guns are hot, people. We should make that into a bumper sticker. Heat guns are hot. I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about all these, you know, terrible things going on in the world, and somebody who had called in said, you know, you're not born racist. We should make that into a bumper sticker. All right, so there we go. I like that. Wishing you brighter days. So now what we're going to do is have to decide at some point if I want this the whole length or the shorter. And I think I actually like it the shorter. So I'm going to cut that back just with scissors. Okay, done. All right, so let's assemble, shall we? So we're gonna do this. So you just wanna be mindful that you don't put a bunch of snail right in the middle, but we also don't want to put snail on here because then sometimes you will go where you shouldn't. So we will snail our edges like we always do. And normally I put a big bunch of snail there. So what I'm gonna do instead is like put a bit of snail kind of each corner, just to ensure we're gonna get good adhesion. The only reason I'm not doing it down the middle of this is on the other card, I popped the whole thing up with dimensionals. So if I decide to do that again, the snail will not be necessary. Okay, so there's that. Hey, Ange. Okay, I used dimensionals on this one in my first card. So we will do it again. And like I said, I used dimensionals on the first card to bring this up off the card. I just sort of liked the lift that provided. So I think I'm gonna do that again. And then I kind of had to eyeball where that was gonna go. So I knew where this piece was gonna go because we couldn't necessarily put it right in the center because of where our sentiment is. So because I want it to be in the center of our lady, we kind of have to do that. So what I'm going to do is just do a little bit of that. And that, their way is still where we put it. Peel off these guys. And we are good to go. So I'm just going to keep both cards in the frame. Yeah, I love this DSP too. Gorgeous, and I have not been using it, and both sides are gorgeous like I already showed you guys. So I definitely like the all coral embossed sentiment, but I would love to hear what other people think. Maybe you actually like it where I had the two colors. I don't know, let me know. I'm gonna turn that guy over. This is where your scrap edges come in super handy when you are popping up a giant piece like this. So that's what I did before. It is what I will do again. And we'll put one in the center. So I can safely say back in the day when I used to cut dimensionals in half, I never would have done this. I never would have popped up a card front. I would have been like, oh my God, that's so many dimensionals. Why would you do that? But you know, sometimes it makes and breaks a card. So we're living large. Also, I just have a better appreciation of how much dimensionals cost. And if you get paper pumpkin, you always get dimensionals, almost always get dimensionals there. So you seem to always end up with extra dimensionals. So why not? Yes, Angela who is my upline and my good friend, is making fun of me because she used to laugh at me when I cut the dimensionals in half. And it wasn't because I wanted them smaller for mini dimensionals. I was just trying to make them go further. Okay, so there we go. So the first one on the left is the card I made earlier today for a sketch challenge. And the second one on the right is my modifications. So I personally prefer the one on the right a lot more. I like that there's less vanilla on the outside. I like the sentiment all in the coral, even though it's a little crooked, but that's okay. And I like that the umbrella, I got a little bit lighter this time. So yes, my preference is for the card on the right. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. So long story short, let's talk about what we did here today. We used this stamp set. So Beautiful You, it is comes as a set of 2. And it's awesome. You've got the girl, 3 different styles. These pattern ones you can use just like on her dress to add a pop of color. Or I've used them in other stamp sets. You've got a happy birthday. This one, you know, life looks beautiful on you, celebrate, all sorts of sentiments. So it's a really great stamp set. So we used that, and off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think it's $35 exactly. Let me just quickly look that up for you. 34, pardon me, 34 for the clear mount. All right, and then we also used the watercolor pencils. So they are 21. I used the blender pen. You get a pack of 3 for 16. I used the shimmery white paper, 10 sheets of paper, it's $10. And I used the bundle of Love DSP, which is 17. So I would like to offer a deal to anyone who orders within the next, by the end of tomorrow. So anyone who places an order of the watercolor pencils and the blender pens using the host code by Friday evening at 8 p.m., I will then give you half a pack of shimmery white cardstock. So you will get 5 pieces of shimmery white cardstock in the mail from me. They're 8.5 by 11. Hey, Cal. So this is a great deal. You'll get 5 pieces of shimmery white for free if you order both the watercolor pencils and either the blender pens or the Bundle of Love DSP. All right? So think about that. It is a great deal. And like I said, I just wanted to remind you of how awesome some of the other stamp sets are in the annual catalog, even though we're excited for the holiday one. And that is it, my friends. So 20 minutes or so, I'm working on trying to be a little bit quicker with my videos. Please comment, let me know, vote on whether you liked card on the left, card on the right. I made a few changes, like I said, as you watch the video. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.